I'm at Well Studio. We welcome now Christina Dent, founder and president of End It for Good, and Lisha Adcock, a Kratom user. Christina, Lisha, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we talked to Dr. Panel yesterday, and then, of course, we had a couple of guests last week that you were accompanied by that came on and talked about Kratom. So their feelings, obviously, and positions on both sides of this issue. And what we're talking specifically about is regulations around this substance. So you were telling me, Christina, before we came on the air, the status of the various measures in the state legislature. Give us an update.
Yeah, so yesterday, Senate Bill 2354 and 2355 both died. They did not pass out of the committees that they needed to continue on, which one of them would have made it Schedule 3, one of them would have made a screening process for that. And the one that is still alive for regulation is House Bill 1077, authored by Lee Yancey, Representative Lee Yancey. And that one basically defines what Kratom is. It makes it where you have to be 21 to purchase it. There have to be appropriate product labeling. That was an amendment that was just added in committee in the Senate. It bans synthetic kratom, which I think is really a lot of what the controversy is over. And I think there's actually a lot more agreement maybe than we realize on that, because we would agree that synthetic kratom is not what people need to be buying. Youth don't need to be buying it. It doesn't need to be on a random gas station shelf. It does need to be regulated. But we feel like this bill does that in a really kind of common sense way, similar to what we do with other substances, alcohol, tobacco, things like that. We regulate them to reduce harm, but we let adults access them.
Alicia, tell us your story.
Well, in 2009, I was diagnosed with a precancerous tumor on my pancreas, and how they got it, how I found out I have it, I was having lots of kidney stones. Well, that's a lot of pain. It was a lot of pain with the pancreas, and I got hooked on pain pills. You know, they helped me get through the day. I do hair, sometimes 8 to 12 hours a day behind a chair. And when you're hurting like that and you still got to make a living, you know, it was just an easy thing for me. 1 = 2, 2 = 3, and so on. So finally just got out of control. The spinning was out of control. Then I got on Suboxone, which did help me get off of the pain pills and helped kind of like regulate my life where I wasn't spending so much money. But then I soon became hooked on it, just like the pain pills. And I started having like a lot of weird side effects. Swelling all down my right side of my body. My arms started going numb and all that. Well, I cold turkeyed that. That about killed me. It was awful. And I said I would never go back. I'd never go back to pills. You know, I'd got it whooped, you know. So I did 3 weeks later, and started this whole process again. Well, in the meantime, my husband had found Kratom. He needs a double knee replacement, and he didn't want to get hooked on pain pills. He wanted something that didn't put him out of his senses, that would help the pain. So he kept telling me, you know, hey, this will help you. This will help you, you know, just try it. And I was like, I don't know about that, you know. And then finally one day I did, and it gave me my life back. That's all I know how to say. It's like I was so out of control, my spending, my thought pattern, everything. And when I took the Kratom, it was immediately almost too. I was like, oh my God, the chains have broken off of me. That's what I felt like.
So, Christina, my understanding is that this substance, this product, is available without any restrictions right now.
Correct.
You buy it over the counter in a convenience store or other retailers that sell the product, and it could even be purchased by minors. Do you have issues
Correct.
with that?
Yes, definitely. It shouldn't be able to be purchased by minors. It shouldn't be sold randomly. It should have, I mean, you think about what do you buy when you go into really any store and you buy something that you put in your body? Well, you look at the back of it and you make sure what's actually in it, what are the ingredients, and it has it right there. We don't have that right now with Kratom. It operates in this kind of gray zone. And we want it to be in regulation where we say, no, we're going to tell people what they're getting. We're going to make sure kids can't buy it. We're going to penalize businesses if they sell to people under the age of 21. And that's what 1077, House Bill 1077 does, is it brings it into regulation. So I think there's broad agreement that regulation is needed. It's just to what degree that regulation is needed.
Gotcha.
And I think for people like Lisha and many, many Mississippians, there was a brief done in 2020, and they estimated, the doctor who did the brief estimated about 90,000 Mississippians were using Kratom in 2020. I would imagine that's a significant number more now. And about a third of them, a fifth to a third of them, so 20 to 30%, something like that, were using it to curb opioid cravings from surveys that they did. And so that's 20,000 people that are using it to help keep them off of opioids that for whatever reason were not working for them or causing problems for them.
So we had a guest on yesterday who talked about losing her brother, who got addicted to this and just couldn't stop, and ultimately it ruined his life while he was alive and ultimately took his life. So why do we have these different outcomes like this? We have some people say, yeah, this has been a lifesaver, and we have some people that report, I lost a loved one as a result of it.
I think it's similar to so I think what we lack sometimes is the nuance on a conversation about something we're unfamiliar with, like Kratom, and we have that nuance for other things. So we know with opioids, lots of people use them non-problematically. Some people become addicted to them. With alcohol, most people use it non-problematically. Some people become addicted to it. All of those things can kill you if you take too much of them. And Kratom is the same way, particularly, I do want to separate synthetic high-potency Kratom from the natural leaf Kratom, because most of the things people are buying in gas stations, these shots that are super high potency, that's not healthy stuff that you're getting. And most people that I've talked to, because I've gotten so many stories from people about this over the last couple of weeks in my inbox, most people say, most people who are using it like Lisha is, say, I would never go into the gas station and buy Kratom. They're not buying whatever random product is over the counter in your gas station. They're getting something that they know where it's coming from. It has been tested. They trust the retailer, that sort of thing. So I think absolutely we have people whose lives have been destroyed as a result of a dependency on Kratom. Maybe that was on synthetic Kratom. But that doesn't mean that Kratom should be banned. We hold these tensions for other substances where we allow people to access them, particularly for a substance that can have benefits for people. And we try to reduce that harm. And I think that's what this bill is trying to do, is trying to reduce the harm to people by saying, we don't want those high-potency shots of whatever random stuff people are putting together in a gas station. Let's take that away. Let's allow people to access the pure leaf, low-potency Kratom for their health or whatever they want to use it for. Most people use it for their health because it tastes terrible. It's not something people take recreationally for fun. It's not a pleasant experience to take it. And we can help protect people, like the woman yesterday. I listened to that interview yesterday. So heartbreaking. And I hope people hear that. Everyone has compassion for that who's working on this issue, even if we disagree on the types of regulation. No one wants that to happen to anyone, and we want those kinds of regulations that help to protect against that.
Lisha, are you still using Kratom?
Yes, sir.
And you use it primarily to alleviate pain?
Well, right now they think that I have trigeminal neuralgia, so that is excruciating pain. So I do take it now for pain, but I was taking it, once it kind of curbed me off of the opiates, I really started taking it for depression, because I think that all just kind of tied into my addiction, the depression, anxiety, and pain that I was having. But it just helps make me feel better. Like, I don't get high from it, but I feel like, okay, I want to get up and get my day started now, if that makes sense. I don't drink coffee, so I always ask people how do they think it compares to coffee, because it's in the same family. And a lot of people tell me that that's kind of what coffee does to you, too. So I just kind of think of it like my coffee in the morning.
Interesting. So, Christina, all these organizations that have signed off on this letter to the Mississippi legislature asking for Kratom to be added to Schedule 3, do they have it wrong?
I think so, because one of the interesting things that I'm learning about more people like Lisha in Mississippi who are using Kratom, because I've never tried it myself. For a lot of people, they have sent in their stories and they have said, I am working, like, I use my body for work. I work in construction. I work as a truck driver. I can't go to the doctor all the time and get prescriptions. I can't pay for prescribed medications all the time, or they maybe don't work for me. This is something I can afford, and it allows me to work and provide for my family.
I understand.
And I think that's really important, that we don't require people. We do need more research on it. Absolutely. Everybody agrees on that. But we shouldn't require people to go to a doctor in the same way doctors didn't want to be involved in the prescribing of medical marijuana. And we didn't force them to be by Schedule III medical marijuana. We said, you know what? Adults can make that decision on their own.
Christina, Lisha, thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much, Gerard.
We're coming right back in the Element